Get back to the Rob Dibble Show.
So hot,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
hot, so
I'll put myself.
hot,
Hey, yeah.
so
All right, back on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell on your afternoon drive. Kirk Kaplan on the ones and twos. Suck some hot stove. Juan Soto trade is in the books. I have interesting stuff to talk about a little bit later on, but let's just talk about his last year. He hit 275, 35 homers, 109 RBI. Pretty much led the club in offensive numbers, but let's break it down a little bit further. If you look at his season averages over the course of his career since 2018, 2019, when he came into the league, he's averaged 23 home runs, 69 RBI, and hitting around 284. And his couple of years, especially the half year with Washington when he went to San Diego, he hit 236 in 52 games, 6 home runs. And then, obviously, last year, raised that average up to 275. And you're in a different division, tough division. Pitching was a little maybe tougher. I don't know. I think the National League East is very tough as well. But now you're going to the American League, where you really don't know the pitching as well as you knew the National League pitching. That's really where the rub is here for me. That, everybody continues to call this guy a superstar, but, the numbers really don't spell that out. I'm a guy that says you're a superstar after 3 amazing years, maybe even getting your team to the playoffs. Guess what the record of the Padres was last year?
Crappy.
Same as the Yankees, 82 and 80. 82 and 80. And I would argue that he was in a better all-star lineup with the Padres and Xander Bogaerts, Tatis Jr., Machado, Cronenworth. I mean, that lineup is power-packed. They hit 205 home runs in a bad hitter's ballpark. That's a terrible ballpark to hit, by the way, San Diego. It's a great pitcher's ballpark. So you had your Cy Young Award winner in the National League come out of there in Blake Snell. So I just think that let's pump the brakes on calling this guy a superstar. He's 25 years old. He's been in the league for 6 years. He's going to make $23 million. And then how much are you going to pay him to stay? You just gave up, what, 5 for him and another guy? So basically 5 for 2, and most of those guys are pitching. I'm just, to me, it always scares me when you give up so much and you really don't know what you're going to get in return, and you don't know if this guy's going to be loyal to you and stay.
And just to make those numbers work, man, if you make the salary work, you better come with it and win some games. And at least, I mean, just the money that they're going to put up for this team without even talking about the pitching right there, you better be winning with that. And I don't know if I don't have any confidence in their coaching. I don't have any confidence in their farm system. I don't have any confidence in them teaching the game of baseball. And it continues to just be some of the same guys. Like, you're just getting the same guys over and over again. You're getting sluggers from the left side. That's right. What you think that you need. Like, I'd like a little mix, man. And didn't we learn anything from the last season? No? We didn't learn anything? I mean, the small ball, hitting for average. That stuff's winning baseball games. Those teams that focus on the launch angle.
Running.
That don't care about strikeouts.
The one thing I will say about him, he does walk a lot. Last year was one of his best years. His 2 best years, 108 walks, 132 strikeouts. He had a 401 on base. That was in 2019. And then last year he had 132 walks and 129 strikeouts and a 410 on base percentage. He's a throwback that I do appreciate, where he is taking the walks and he's got a very good hitter's eye. But it's basically in a lineup, if he continues to do that, he's going to be a misnomer, because the rest of these guys were god-awful last year with the on-base percentage, like I think it was about 230, 225 as a team, and they had the second lowest batting average in the major leagues as a team. That's a team philosophy. They had to bring in Sean Casey, the lifetime 300 hitter, and they fired him after 3 months. They didn't want to go with his philosophy of, hey, let's try to work some walks. let's try to move some runners over. Let's try to, hit in the gaps and, go for doubles and stuff. So I love what Don Amore said about Verdugo. But listen, the Red Sox got so ticked off about Verdugo dogging it and not hustling. What did they do to him? They benched him. So I just think that today's player, there's a lot more to these guys. I keep saying it's about branding. It's about how much you can give to me and not how much I can give to the team. So, and the best part about this, though, he will be looking to put up a career year as he goes into his free agent year.
Oh, geez, thank you so much. He's going to play hard? That's what you're telling me?
But he's going to play hard because he has to.
But then after that, he's not going to play hard? Okay, yeah, great.
Yeah, he doesn't have to. Again, what did Tim Legler say? You don't know what a guy's going to be like after you give him all that money.
That's what I think about this Jackson Cherios kid from the Brewers that got 8 years, $82 million.
I will say this, though. They signed him at 16 out of Venezuela, Maracaibo, for almost $2 million, and he's continued to progress and get better. He is 19 years old. It is an awful lot of money, but if you look at some of the deals that have been made recently, other than the Wander Franco mistake down in Tampa, these guys on the Braves, these younger Latino players that signed below market value early, it's worked out pretty well for them. So I think, listen, it's a risk worth taking, but I think that they were worried about losing control of this guy in the next couple of years, and that's a big deal, man. When you sign somebody at 16 years old and you're thinking about the future, and this guy could be a cornerstone of our organization, you just lost your manager to the Cubs. They needed to, kind of deflect from that nonsense to, hey, but we're still over here playing baseball. Even though we lost Craig Counsell, we still are. We're thinking about the baseball part of this.
The deal that just got done as well overnight, I really like this deal. I thought this guy was going to move at the trade deadline. I don't think anybody wanted to pick up the contract, and that's what scared a lot of teams away. But Eduardo Rodriguez, who is beloved in Detroit, will be going to the Arizona Diamondbacks. $80 million, 4 years. There is a fifth-year option that could boost that up to $99 million, and he could make over $100 with a bunch of incentives that are in place for that contract as well. So a 4-year deal for $80 million basically is what they're on the hook for. Eduardo Rodriguez, I think he's an all-star pitcher. What do you think of the Diamondbacks boasting their rotation as runners-up the World Series?
They actually didn't have the greatest rotation during the regular season. Postseason, they're fantastic, but regular season, they're kind of middle of the road. They needed to shore it up a little bit more. They want to have one of the best pitching staffs. So, with Fott and Gallen, and now you throw in Rodriguez and some of these other guys, Merrill Kelly, they think they have the best rotation. Bob Nightingale, who I think we should probably try to get on next week, he seems to think they would start with the best rotation in the National League next year. Now with Rodriguez. And listen, first of all, lefties are always great because you can break up righties, and God knows Arizona has some really good right-handed pitchers. But you always want to be able to throw some lefties in there. That's what the Astros do really well. They have some really strong left-handed starters. So I like this from that standpoint. And this guy's been solid. I don't think the Red Sox ever should have let this guy go. That again, we could go backward and start talking about Jordan Montgomery and guys like that, and Eovaldi, and my God, you had Eovaldi and Rodriguez on the same staff, and you let both of them go.
Golly,
so
think about that.
Think about that. Teams that just played in the World Series, the Diamondbacks, they almost won the World Series, so they're thinking, well, how didn't we win it? Pitching and defense, maybe. Okay, let's go out and shore up our pitching a little bit more. You watch the Rangers. I guarantee the Rangers, even though they have DeGrom, they're going to try and get more pitching. Because here's the big thing, too, Ben, is that you'd rather have that guy pitching for you than against you. And that's another thing. At least the Yankees are thinking, hey, we got Soto, and the Red Sox didn't get Soto. And here's the thing now. The Red Sox should be thinking, we should get Ohtani before the Yankees get Ohtani, or we should get Yamamoto before the Yankees get that's got to be your thought process, since both of those teams struggled last year in the second half of the season. You have to be thinking upgrade and make sure my competitor doesn't get a star player.
I do like what Dom said. I think that the whole rivalry, don't trade your rival thing has flown out the window about 5 years ago. I mean, I can tell you a lot of stuff between my Cubs and my Cardinals.
Absolutely.
The Brewers, Cubs, we already just talked about that during this segment. And now my Cubs are giving you Imir Candelario, the Candy Man, going to the Reds. But it's the way of life now, and $45 million for 3 years. That's a great deal for him. He has an option as well on the fourth year to make $60 million. It's a team option that's reported by Gordon Wittenmeyer of the Cincinnati Enquirer. But I think your Reds, man, your Reds are doing some deals. Like, it's not the big splash deals, but it's deals
Bob
nonetheless.
Castellini said he would spend some money, but what do they need? They need pitching as well.
Yeah.
So Votto is gone. You need somebody to replace him. This cat did a great job last year, and so I think that it was great timing for him as well. And to get him in your division, listen, the Reds got to see him front and center at the end of the season and say, you know what, this is the guy that we could use. Listen, you had Eugenio Suarez a couple years ago. You traded him away because you didn't want to pay him big money. I kind of laugh at some of these deals because it's like, okay, if we were to go back and parse some hairs on the Mookie Betts deal or even Xander Bogaerts deal, you watch. Then you go out and you spend a boatload of money on Trevor Story. What happens to him? He gets hurt. Okay, you already had a starting shortstop that, hey, you could have paid him about the same amount of money annually. It's all about annual average salary that I look at. Whether a guy makes $300 over 13 years or, makes $200 over 7 years, the annual average is roughly going to be the same. So it's some of these teams, I think you get really bogged down in the number of years you want to give these guys. Now, I'm not big on giving pitchers more than 3 to 5 years. I wouldn't do it. But when you're talking about everyday players that are young, like Soto, Judge is a little bit older. What is Judge? Judge is about 31 years old?
Yeah.
32 years old. Yeah. That's a big difference. Juan Soto's still a baby. My God, I came to the big leagues at 24. Juan Soto's 25. If you're going to lock Juan Soto up now for 10 years, I would do it. Because this is going to be 35 years old at the end of that deal. That's not god-awful. Whereas Aaron Judge, was he going to be 41, 42 at the end of his deal? So, that's when I look back and I look at some of these deals you didn't make, Mookie Betts is by far one of the worst ever. And now you traded the biggest part of his deal to your competitor, Verdugo. And so you have no Betts. And now you have no marquee guy that was in your deal.
Yeah,
and Kike Hernandez, you traded back to the team that you traded for him to begin with.
And play better, too, by the way.
I know.
Dodgers.
Don't remind me. My wife reminds me about that.
There are a lot of great starting pitching prospects that are available through free agency. Obviously, Shohei is a part of that mix as he throws as well, but we don't know when he's going to get back to the mound. His friend Yamamoto.
He's not pitching this year.
His friend Yamamoto will be pitching this year and is a big part of that mix of starting pitchers. Aaron Nola, Blake Snell, we know. Marcus Stroman's waiting on a club option from the Cubs. Maybe he becomes a free agent. Eduardo Rodriguez off the board. The one I'm interested in, will anybody make a move for Trevor Bauer?
I have no problem with Trevor Bauer. I don't have to like him as a person or his sexual whatever.
Deviance.
Yeah. I need the guy to be healthy every fifth day and shut his mouth and not be a nuisance. And I think he may have learned his lesson, but maybe not. I mean, he still pops off, and he's in Japan. He still makes news from halfway around the world. But listen, pitching is so – honestly, if I have my druthers between Trevor Bauer and Blake Snell, who do you think I'd pick?
I would think you'd pick Blake Snell, but
no, I wouldn't. I'd take Trevor Bauer.
Really?
Not a fan of Blake Snell. Nope. Not going to give me 200 innings, and once every 4 years he's going to be decent.
Wow. I won't be surprised when that happens. I think it will happen. I think he will be on assignment before spring training gets announced. And I'm more interested in the price tag of what he is going to accept and what people are willing to pay for Trevor Bauer, starting pitcher. It's fun, man. I think it's a lot of fun. I think the Major League Baseball has taken a page out of the NBA book. and started free agency in these winter meetings in a way where the calendar year is filled up with baseball talk. I haven't heard more baseball talk at the beginning of December outside of this studio quite like I have here in 2023. And I know Shohei is a big part of that, but still, like these winter meetings, this is what, like the third year that we have been doing this where it's been going bang, bang, bang all the time.
Oh, yeah. Well,
And
listen,
it's a lot of fun.
I don't think anybody expected a young guy like Kelenic to get traded to the Braves.
I didn't.
But, here's another deal that people may have missed on, and it's not Fetty Wap. It's Eric Fetty. The White Sox signed this guy for a 2-year, $15 million deal. But over in Korea, he pitched for the NC Dinos.
That's my team.
20-6 with a 2 ERA. Hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained. But you're talking about Dylan Cease and some of these other guys getting traded.
Yep.
To save some money. If that guy pans out, you're talking $7.5 million per. That's a steal. But to search the international stuff again. I brought this up yesterday. It's all about scouting and evaluation. The best teams are out there everywhere. We used to call it kicking the bushes, and and going out and going to every corner. And a lot of teams have turned away from that to go to analytics. If Fetty turns out, let's say Fetty wins 10 to 12 games, excuse me, to the White Sox this year, that is huge. Those wins, and maybe the team wins 15 of his 30 starts, that would be a huge improvement over some of the guys they've had recently. So I just think, and listen, and you signed big, like Lance Lynn a few years ago was a huge contract. Grandal was a huge contract with the White Sox. So the White Sox, people may look at it and say, well, they're going cheap. No, they're trying to scout talent and go in different directions, and that has a lot to do with the change in management. Jerry Reinsdorf was like, listen, I've had Kenny Williams for 25 years and Rick Hahn, and I got to go in a different direction. So maybe you've got guys that are saying, listen, we didn't go after too much international talent. We used to. But that's, man, you got to scout everywhere now to try to get to. I don't care if a guy comes from Sweden or Russia, China. I don't care. But if that guy can get me some outs and help me in September and October, it's worth any amount of money we pay for him.
MLB rumors with these millionaires is one thing, but MLB rumors with the billionaires is quite another. Reported rumor. David Rubenstein interested in buying the Baltimore Orioles from, what's the guy?
Angelos.
Peter Angelos, yes.
Yeah,
what do you think about
Angelos.
that?
Well, Peter's getting older, and, I don't know if John wants to take over the Orioles, but, God, they got to be worth $3 to $5 billion.
Peter's 94.
Yeah, I loved Peter. He was so good to me back in those
yes, you always
Masson days.
And now you would be trading 94 for a spry David Rubenstein 74.
Hey, I'm 2 months away from 60, so
Rubenstein's from Baltimore. It seems like he's an owner who actually likes baseball. And if you're Angelos, man, I'd sell high, right?
Absolutely.
That's
and the Orioles are hot right now.
Exactly.
They're winning.
Exactly. This is the time to do it.
That's good. That's some good news. All right, we got Brandon Lang, Brandon Lang from BrandonLang.com out in Vegas. He's one of the best handicappers out there, money managers. He's going to help you get ready for tonight's game and the weekend's games, especially in pro football. We'll be right back with Brandon Lang on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell.
97.9 ES.